All right, folks, welcome to Nino's Corner.tv. I'm going to be joined with Lewis Herms, who has a film out right now called Psyop of Silence on Rumble, exposing fake news conservatives. And I'm going to be bringing on Lewis Herms right now to be talking about this. Lewis, how's it going, my man? It's been a little bit since we've done a podcast, but hey, man, I've said it time and time again. They will be activated for such a time as this to create the division. It's a psyop, the whole thing. I mean, trusted podcasters that people loved are now fighting with each other. And it's almost like, is this a WWE script?
Yeah, or all of the above, right? It's interesting because I've said for years, as you probably know, is who you believe is going to be good will turn out to be evil, and some people you think are evil are going to end up being good. Because
but they'll be propped up first. You got people like Nick Fuentes who came in through Kanye West. You got now got Alex Jones fighting with Candace Owens. Candace Owens fighting with the world. Tim Pool going against. I mean, everybody's at each other's throats.
Yeah, and I would think it'd be smart for people right now to not pick a side, because the reality is the way we get conquered is through division. So if you make a choice to be part of the division, then you're making a choice to be conquered.
All right, and before we get into this, folks, get your Noble Gold. Get your Noble Gold if you're over 40 and planning to retire someday. The window to protect what you've built may be smaller than you realize. Ask yourself, is your portfolio built on what's coming next? As retirement moves from someday to on the horizon, protecting what you've built becomes just as important as growing it. That's where Noble Gold Investments comes in. They help investors reduce risk by adding gold and silver to their portfolios. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com, and get started on that, folks. Believe me, you need to get silver and gold. It's spiking through the roof right now. Wow, my voice is starting to come back now, Lewis, so I'm kind of happy about that. It's not fully back, but it's coming. So there's so many important things to cover, right? Like, we all know what's going on with Tita Peters, but nobody's covering that. That's just on the back shelf somewhere collecting dust.
That's right. That's what the film is about. So I take a few things. I take well, let me ask you, are you going to be on YouTube?
Yes, this is YouTube.
Okay.
We're on YouTube right now.
So I take probably the harshest crime of all, the crime against children, and we know what we're talking about there, right? And I take what happened during that thing that you put in your arm. Ramifications of that. And I talk about Tina Peters. Why? Is because if your so-called news source, and by the way, your news source is just not those named news sources. These are online podcasters. These are conservative Xers, conservative Facebook people, so on and so forth. If they're not putting those top 3 stories at the top of their list,
children, Tina, and voting, correct? Or what? Or
children, Tina, and that thing that pharmaceutical companies play with.
All right. So that's people think that's over, but you're right. You're right. People should be talking about that.
Well, just because of the ramifications of it are very, very clear. And of course, elections. If they're not talking about those things in almost daily, let's at least say once a week, one of those subjects, I would be highly suspicious that they're on our side. And I'm wondering if my film has already made an impact, because there's somebody that has 1 million followers that never said anything about this. In the film, I hinted to this type of behavior, and just yesterday, they actually finally reposted something about President Trump talking about Tina Peters. So I think it's important. Now let me just read 2 quotes to you, Nino, and these are kind of the genesis of the film. And this is one quote. It says, "Let the people believe they are choosing, while the prince holds the true reins of power unseen." That's Machiavelli.
Think about that. Studying a lot of Machiavelli lately, by the way.
So here's another one. "The mass media serve as a system, given the appearance, I call it the illusion, given it the appearance of open discussion while tightly constraining the spectrum of opinion." That's Noam Chomsky. I mean, these are deep. And
Yeah.
I have another one after another one after another one.
And it's only gotten better and more honed in throughout the time, throughout the ages. They're still following this playbook.
Oh, 100%. In fact, Plato, 2,500 years ago, warned of this exact scenario, of this is how you can control the population by giving an illusion of choice. Just give them two choices and have those two choices fight it out, although none of it matters because they're controlling everything in the background anyways.
So let me get your thoughts on this. I mean, do you think that this is all WWE that we're watching? They're all in on it together, or are they really fighting and just being paid off by certain donors?
Both. Let's take the Trump administration Q operation out of it. Let's step back a few years. There's always been an illusion of choice. And over the last 40 or 50 years, for sure, the proof of it is when an election is run, you generally have what in a primary? You have a Democrat and then you have a rhino Republican, not a true Republican, running against each other. So you feel forced to pick one way or the other.
I still think we should have more choices, to be honest with you, not just Coke and Pepsi, you know?
Exactly. Well, but we do. In fact, I actually talk about that towards the end of the film because I can use my candidacy as governor as an example. There's 15 conservative candidates out there, but you just hear about 2 of them. I was on the stage with one of them, absolutely obliterated that discussion. Total crickets across the news media. I'll be on stage with both of the top 2 candidates on January 10th. So we'll see what will happen with that. So internally, I've risen from 15th to about 3rd. Well, that's extraordinary. But will I ever permeate the media and be considered one of the top 3? Because if I do, that would probably be the end of the other 2 candidates. And that's what we're kind of dealing with here. And they know it.
And you're running in what state?
California as governor.
California governor. So Louis Herms is running for governor, and nobody's, I mean, I'm not trying to offend you, but probably 95% of people don't even know this.
100%. They do not know this. But yet when I get on a stage or my message gets out there, it's amazing how fast their voters are flipping over to my side because they want somebody authentic. They know that we have an illusion. They feel like there's something wrong already. And I'll give you a perfect example of that. We've been dealing with the snake, which I call Democrats, for a long time. So the snake that we know about, the rattlesnake, is at our front doorstep. That would be the Democrats because at least they tell you what they're doing. I would prefer to deal with them than a Republican name only because that's the rattlesnake in your bed sheets. That's the one cuddling up to next to you, and you don't know that it's going to bite you in the ass.
So here's how I see it now. You know, with all these podcasters, you got Tim Pool fighting with Candace Owens, which is crazy. It's almost like tag team WWE wrestling now. Everyone's at each other's throats.
Yep.
But I think the deep state realizes, you know, that the MSN lost really badly to the alternative media in 2016 and 2020 and 2024. Obviously, we know what happened in 2020, but they cannot afford to lose that again. They can't afford to lose the narrative. So they've infiltrated the right. They've divided the right. They're fracturing the right with Candace Owens, Tim Pool, Alex Jones is jumping in there now, and Erica Kirk with TPUSA. I think TPUSA is going to be the battleground for all of this. And if you don't agree with the narrative on how Charlie Kirk was taken out, there's that line in the sand right there. Pick a side.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's intentional too. And that's where I think you're going with this is both sides of the narrative are manipulative. And they may be playing on the same team or fighting against each other. Here's what's important for us. We need to stay grounded and we need to stay in authenticity. If it's not authentic and it doesn't resonate with us, push it aside. Like out of the 2 that you just showed, one of them I know or I believe is controlled opposition. And the other one, I'm not quite sure because we're dealing with 5th generational warfare at the maximum right now.
I actually happen to know of, for a fact, and I do not betray people's trust, but I happen to know for a fact of 2 podcasters that sold out, and one told me. So I know that from his own mouth. and
Yeah.
he's an enormous podcaster. So but I still don't. It's none of my business, and that's how I feel about that. But I think people could sniff it out for themselves, right?
And they should. They should. And the thing though is we can't. Here's the easy deal. Don't attach yourself to anybody, right? Don't attach yourself to Lewis Herms. Don't attach yourself to Nino. Just look for authenticity. If you feel like I feel like you're authentic, people. You know, I have discussions with people all the time, right? And they're, oh, Nino, he's a patriot, or he's this, or he's this, and behind you, I'm defending you all the time. I go, I know this guy personally. I've had intimate conversations about his family personally. I know where he's coming from. He's coming from authenticity, right? Still has to pay the bills though. So
yeah, I mean that's
two things together. It's ridiculous.
If they want me to do this full time, if they want me to do this a fraction of the year, I'll do it. But it's not going to pay the bills. I gotta put food on the table, man.
Exactly.
Bottom line, I'm being authentic by telling people that. I even tell people to give to my Venmo.
I know who you are, though, right? And I know who the guy that I'm dealing with. Now, there are podcasters out there that I know are 100% compromised, and I've had some of the same information that you have. There's one recently that came out, and I give markers. I don't tell on people, but I give markers because we're supposed to be intelligent and figure this stuff out. Huge. Even President Trump boosted him up. And then all of a sudden, he's like, yeah, I don't even think election fraud is real.
Damn.
I'm just saying.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
And somebody that's in the Trump administration, or you formerly was, now he's working more intelligence. He was on the phone with me last week, and he's like, what do you think about that? And I said, I think he got a check. He goes, we know he got a check.
Wow.
So this is the type of stuff that's going on. And the reason why I was contacted over this is, I'm assuming because of my film, is exposing these. And it's showing people, it's only a half-hour film, but it's showing people markers of what to look for. I actually had somebody that was a supporter of my campaign that actually, after the film, said, I can't support you now because you called out one of the news organizations that I love so much. I'm like, think of that mentality, because I exposed them for what they are. Now you can't support me. And that they understand that their propaganda gets them attached so much. So I would just tell people, if your news organization is not hot and heavy on the Tina Peters conversation, they're
Right.
not hot and heavy on the ramifications of that thing that you put in your body, if they're not hot and heavy on elections, and they're not hot and heavy on what's happening to children,
matters, what really matters.
Those are the 4 top stories. But those are not.
And
the
I do
stories
think
I
do think, though, in my opinion, that and I flirt with it. I kind of touch and go with the Charlie Kirk stuff, but I also feel that's very important, because I don't believe the narrative they're giving people of Tyler Robinson at all. And I do think we need to get to the bottom of that, but we're not going to, not anytime this year or decade. I think that the powers that be were so powerful that covered that up, and they did what they did. That you're just a dog chasing your tail, and Candace is going to go nowhere with this. I mean, what kind of justice is she going to get? Do you think that they're going to all of a sudden, she's going to keep pointing fingers, and then they're finally going to go, ooh, yeah, you got me. You're right. Yeah. It was me. I'm sorry. Hey, the whole little country in the Middle East, we're all sorry over here, or whatever you believe. Do you think Erica Kirk is going to step down and be like, you know what? I have a conscience now, and Candace Owens just called me out so many times that I can't help but just admit what I did. No, none of that's going to happen. It's just going to be an endless tirade, a vicious cycle going down the drain to distract everybody.
Right. And the key is, and this is how I deal with this, because you can imagine how many people have asked me about the Charlie Kirk issue. In fact, right after his assassination, and yes, I call it assassination. That's what my feeling is. Right after his assassination, I was in a house with some people that a lot of people know. And they were talking about Charlie Kirk, and everything was great. And then somebody asked me about Charlie Kirk publicly. And the host shut it down immediately. We're not going to have that conversation right now. We don't want to talk about that, because they understand that I would give my authentic opinion on what happened, and I'm a digger, and I'm a journalist, and I've gone down these rabbit holes before. So the last person they wanted to hear from was me. And I'm still a friend with these people. And so I tell people this. I said it's very simple. You don't have to take a side, but if something is smelling fishy here, something is off, and at minimum, that would do an investigation from at least.
They covered up the whole crime scene. That's how powerful.
Immediately.
Even the FBI was like, well, that's a wrap. I mean, come on, man.
Doesn't make sense.
None of it makes sense. And now Erica Kirk is on stage and glitter and fireworks. And dude, are you supposed to be mourning? Aren't you supposed to be with your kids? Aren't you a Christian mother, a mourning widow? None of this makes sense any way you spin it. But here's my point on this. It's now become a distraction, while at the same time boosting TPUSA as the front and battleground for the 2028 election. So they're going to divide the right using TPUSA, Candace Owens being on this side, whoever else is on that side, and it's going to be an eternal battle, cannibalizing each other. Everyone's going to eat each other alive, and they're going to be able to put in their Manchurian candidate after Trump, whoever it's going to be, whether it's J.D. Vance or somebody else. Me personally, I don't know how you feel. Do you like J.D. Vance?
I'm indifferent on JD, right? I don't know anything about him. And I'm definitely not thinking about 2028, especially with my election coming up. But what I tell you is I think you're dead on, because what happens is if they can get a division just within the conservative party alone, let's assume that President Trump does what he says, and he's actually going to do something that's going to do an emergency repair to the elections, right? They're going to have, the baddies are still going to have to figure a way to win. What better way to do it than two ways? In California, I know exactly how they're doing it. They're going scorched earth and trying to drive every conservative out of California, so when the elections are repaired, they can actually have an election where a Democrat could actually win it. That's the game there. The game elsewhere would be exactly what you say, in my opinion. What they're going to do is they're going to create an intentional division inside the conservative party. And I think that division is going to be, and this is the deep part. I get people very upset with me. The division in the conservative movement will be this. It will be, you're pro-Israel or you're against Israel.
Exactly. It's already happening.
That's
and you know who I'm really, and you know who's really, to me, I can't say I'm surprised on anybody, to be honest, but seeing Alex Jones, the guy who questions everything, Sandy Hook to 9/11 to whatever. I mean, the guy has made his career, his entire career on questioning the narrative about all the conspiracies. He's telling the public, his audience, that we should go against Candace Owens. She's crazy for asking these questions, and basically just accept the narrative. Yeah. This is wild to me.
It is. It's crazy. Was he crazy when he was going against the narrative?
What's that?
Was he crazy when he was going against the narrative?
That's what I'm saying. She's just doing what he was always doing.
She's literally Alex Jones Jr. right now.
Yeah, it's the Twilight Zone.
It is. It's crazy. It's crazy. But that's why, notice the three letters on the screen, the three gray letters there.
The three, sorry, I don't see it. I don't know what you're talking about.
After fake new.
Oh, okay, yeah. SES, there it is.
That's what's going on.
Yeah. Right. And Juan talks about that quite often, about how that is really everything's under the umbrella of that, correct?
I believe so, because, and think about the way they do it. So let's say you are an attorney general making $310,000 a year, right? But you're getting a separate check through multiple sources that ultimately come from the SCS, where you're making $600,000 to $700,000 a year. What side do you think you're going to fall on? You're going to fall on the side of doing your job, or you're going to fall on the side of where SCS wants you? Clearly, if they're accepting a check like that, that's what side they're falling on. Not to mention, these people are getting paid in perpetuity. They've retired, and they're still getting checks from SCS. It's deep, and it's if anybody wants to go to their website, the Senior Executive Services, the government website .gov, and you're going to see the worst, cheapest website in the world. It's clearly a front. It's a facade, is what it is.
Senior Executive Services, what?
.gov, I believe it is.
You're kidding me. I mean, it says this site can't be reached.
Here, let me find it for you while you're talking.
Yeah, it's not, I'm not finding it. Put it in the chat there.
I will.
Yeah, so to me, this is all, there's only two things that are gonna happen here. It's going to be a MAGA civil war because they know they've lost the left already. We all know where the left is coming from. So now it's gonna be the division of the right, completely infiltrated as they prop up these huge names like Nick Fuentes, Alex Jones, whatever, to attack Candace. And it's just going to be an all-out cannibalization of each other, from what I see. I don't see how anybody survives this with the rate we're going. You?
Well, that's their goal, though, isn't it? That's their goal. Is they want to
the right cannibalize itself.
They have to. They have to because it's a dying mechanism. The reason I'll give California another example. The reason why they're going scorched earth in California is because at the end of every war, when the baddies know they're losing, they go scorched earth. They burn everything down. They eliminate everything because they can't have anything left. This is their last ditch effort. I think the Cubs are their whole satanic agenda, and these are lionists backed in a corner, and they will die trying to protect what they have because it's over for them. And unfortunately, if they're successful, it's over for us.
100%. And that's why I've always said, I mean, I don't know who is going to fill Trump's shoes. I personally, I'm kind of neutral on Vance like you are. I just don't see Vance feeling those shoes. I don't see anybody really feeling those shoes of Trump, and I'm sure my audience can agree with that. I just, at this stage, it's so early in the game. Hopefully someone else, throws their hat in the ring, but I'm not sold on Vance at all.
Yeah, well, think about it. Trump only threw his hat in the ring, a year before the election. So
right.
I think we have plenty of time for that. If he doesn't arrest anybody,
right,
if he's going to have no juice whatsoever in the elections, in my opinion. If he does, he's going to have MAGA juice in the upcoming elections where he literally can be kingmaker.
So what's your thoughts on, I've had a particular guest come on my show and say, Dave, you don't understand. He gets briefed by certain officials in the government. He's been right about a few of his or two of his predictions. Another one's coming up January 15th, where he said the Ukraine-Russian war will be ended by that time. We're all waiting to see. But Stuart Swerdlow said that J.D. Vance is going to fill in for Trump, and Trump will be stepping down before his it's all over. He could be stepping down by the end of this year after he signs the EO for elections, declares a national emergency, fixes the midterms, and he steps down right after that. J.D. Vance steps in, and they're on a 12-year plan. Do you think that could be a possibility?
Well, you know what? That would be a hopeful possibility because if Trump does all those things and starts commencing with arrests, then that means there was an operation that you can trust, and then I would be okay with that type of transition.
Because then J.D. Vance is the continuation of the operation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. So in other words, but the arrests have to come this year.
In my opinion. Yeah. And I'm watching people are getting very frustrated that there's not, and when I say arrest, folks, I understand the whole operation the way it's supposed to be. So I'm saying public arrests, right? Right. If there's not public arrests, these people they're jumping ship right now, and it's going to be hard to get them back. But how is it even possible that the governor of Minnesota is not arrested by now?
I don't understand how that's even, you're right.
How is it possible that Gavin Newsom is not in handcuffs right now? How is it possible that Jenna Griswold or the governor of Arizona is not? I mean, the people have all the evidence on them, right? Can you imagine what the feds have on them? So I don't hold out hopes that it's an operation. I believe it is, but I always have moved forward as if it's not, because
Yeah.
ultimately, I believe we the people hold the power, and we need to do the work. 𝗦𝗫𝗄𝗃 would be a good example of that, right? 𝗦𝗫𝗄𝗃 is an example of we the people doing the work. Now, he could even be an operative. But,
I've been watching 𝗦𝗫𝗄𝗃 for a while,
but I mean a good operative. I'm not talking about a bad one. I'm talking about.
I've been watching 𝗦𝗫𝗄𝗃 come up from the very beginning when he only had 100,000 people on his Twitter, and I just watched him blow up just recently, obviously with the Somalian daycare stuff. I think that kid's heart in the right place, and I think he's trying to do the right thing. He's already getting tons of death threats, but it's going to take citizen journalists like that.
Thank you very much.
To get us out of this.
And that's the key right here. And this is what I said 5 years ago, and I literally got screamed at. I lost about 20% of my followers within a week because I said, this is not going to be over anytime soon. If we're going to get through this and it's going to be successful in the long term, it's the people that are going to have to stand up and start doing the work. Because if you expect President Trump to come through on his flying unicorn and sprinkle dust all over us, rainbow dust, and save everybody, then we're going to be right back in here in another 5-10 years anyways. We need to step up. We need to take ownership, and we need to do the work. And you're seeing that with the 𝗦𝗫𝗄𝗃s of the world and other people now doing it, which is exciting for me. So we'll see where that lands.
Another good journalist that's on the border is Oscar Ramirez, who I've had on my show a few times. He's in Tijuana, and he told me, he goes, Dave, listen, they're all getting ready. They're all formulating a plan right now. They're still being brought into Mexico. All the refugees and all the immigrants to Tijuana, Ciudad Juarez. I know for a fact they're all still coming here, waiting for 2028 when Trump gets out, so they can ransack the U.S. Biden 2.0. They're waiting and planning right now.
Yeah, I think that's very likely. That makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah. So we have what that tells me, though, is that means we have a very, very, very small window to take things back. If we don't have an emergency order on elections, and I don't do doom and gloom, I don't ride the roller coaster, as you know, but I can tell you, if we do not have an emergency order on elections to repair elections, our country is done as we know it.
And wouldn't you say that has to happen fairly soon to give us enough runway?
In me, I would say it would have to happen before April, in my opinion, based on the way the primaries are lined up and what's happening after that.
I totally agree with you 100%. Anything else you want to share, Lewis?
No, I just want, if y'all want to see what I'm doing, we're making a huge progress. Just go to HermsForCali.com. That's my website. It's a lot of fun. We got a big debate coming up on January 10th, and I think that's going to be a game changer.
HermsForCali.com.
You got it.
All right, stay with me, Lewis, just for a second. This was one hell of a podcast. Thank you for joining me.